What's going on, YouTube? It's Coach Bridges with Bridges Performance Training. I'm a strength and performance specialist, and I'm here to help the everyday athlete get better one day, one rep at a time. Today, we'll be kicking off our deadlift series. In this part one, we'll be breaking down the deadlift technique and everything you need to master the lift and improve your strength. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit that thumbs up button if you like the content. Leave your questions in the comments and share with a friend who might be looking to take their exercise to the next level. So should you be deadlifting? The answer is yes, no matter who you are. A couch potato, the everyday athlete, or a next level athlete looking to better their performance. The hinge pattern is a pattern that we all move through every single day in our lives, right? So every single person should have some form of the deadlift inside their program, whether it's with dumbbells, kettlebells, the barbell, or any other tool apparatus, and even your body weight that you use to create a hinging motion that you want to train. Today, and in this series, we'll be talking about mostly going through the straight bar deadlift, which a lot of people have trouble correcting their form or perfecting their technique to be able to move weight that they feel like they should be able to move. All right, so let's jump right into it. Let's build the setup. And we're going to start with our stance. The stance you want to be in is hip width apart. You want your feet hip width apart as if you were about to jump onto a box or do a vertical jump. That power stance that you would typically be in for your body is where you want to jump from. Okay, for a larger athlete, maybe a super heavyweight who's taller, wider, has a little bit more mass on them, they're going to look like their stance is wider compared to someone who's much smaller, who their stance looks more narrow. But with that being said, they're in their power position. That's where we want to start. We want our toes pointed straight forward. Some people think pointing toes out might be good. It might help you a little bit off the floor, but with our toes pointed straight forward, it's actually going to help us engage that posterior chain a little bit more as we lock out, be able to shoot our hips to the front. So now let's talk about the distance that you are from the bar. And we all heard it. If you're not scraping your shins on the way up, you're not doing it right. And while we do want the bar close, close is going to be relative to that person standing in the box. So we're looking at what do I do with my larger athletes who are either long-limbed or wide. I have them actually start with the bar closer to the tip of the big toe, so that this way they have room to pull themselves into optimal position to lift, right? And with my smaller athletes, usually I have it anywhere between the knot in their laces to maybe mid-foot, the bottom of the laces, and this will get them into optimal, and we just play around with it and see how their power is as they push through the ground. Okay, so now that we're standing over the bar in the right position, let's go over the actual movements of the lift to get the bar off the ground. And what I'll do is we'll break down the movements now, and in another video, I'll put up movements or drills to actually implement into your workouts to help you perfect these movements if any of this is foreign to you, or it feels awkward, or you feel like you're not getting it right. We're going to first start by hinging back, by pushing your back towards the back wall and making sure that our hips are always above our knees and our shin is at a vertical angle. The reason why we need this is because we want to create tension in the posterior chain, especially our hips and hamstrings, and we want to make sure as we drive the bar up off the ground that we're not knocking into our knees and causing us to shift during the deadlift. And that's going to be the worst thing as you have heavy weight in your hand, or any weight in your hand, is shifting either forward or back, or having the weight hit against your knees, and now you have to make a correction, right? So we want tension, and we want that nice hip angle that we have here, with a nice hip angle as we are ready to lift. Now we want to put tension through our upper body and through the bar. So we want to lock our lats out, lock our arms or our elbows, so by flexing our triceps, and take the slack out or hover the bar. How do we do this? What I want you to do is I want you to think about, quote, protecting your armpits as if somebody was trying to tickle you when you were trying to stop them. We're going to snap back, lock the triceps, and put the shoulder blades down in the back pocket. This will simultaneously lock your lats, lock your triceps to protect your biceps from any type of injury if you're going underhand grip. And then it's also going to put tension into the bar. If you're using light weight during your warm-up and you're doing this correctly, then you will actually feel the bar hover. It will come up off the ground just slightly before you ever push through the ground. Okay? As we do this, as it gets heavier, the bar will start to feel like it's going to bend a little bit, right? So that's what they call taking the slack out of the bar. And this is now creating tension from your arms up through the posterior chain through your back, and now your glutes and hamstrings, when they're in the right position, are going to be perfectly tensioned, ready for you to go. Last but not least, we want to create tension throughout our core, and we want to do this so that we can stabilize our spine and not let any energy leak out as we're trying to get that lift up off the floor. What this does is it creates our own internal belt. You see the people who have the belts around, walking around in the gym, and they'll breathe in. We can actually do that with our own musculature if we do it correctly and train our core correctly. And in this deadlift series, we're actually going to go over some accessory and core exercises that will help you do this and help you drill this in so that you can make sure that you're always carrying around your own internal weight belt. So how we do this is we actually breathe in as if we're trying to fill a balloon. All right. So what I want you to do is take a big deep belly breath, and I want you to feel your chest, the front, the sides, and the back of your core all expand out. And as you do that, you tighten. And this is how we brace our core and create stiffness in our spine. So when we put it all together, here's how it looks. I step up to the bar, I breathe, get into my hinge position. My hand placement is going to go right where they lay, right? So I'm not going to look to go out or in. If you are alternating grip, then you'll put your underhand hand a little bit outside shoulder width, but we still want to make sure that we're locking out those triceps so that we protect that bicep. If you are a overhand gripper or a hook gripper, our hands are going to go right where they lay so that we're comfortable and we can get into that nice power position with our back. Once I get that position, I get that tension out of the bar, feel where my hips are, and I breathe, give myself a pull, and I get right into the lift. Now, as you're going through this and you're feeling like, am I doing this right? The one thing I would say is if you record yourself and you feel your hips or see your hips in the recording rise before the bar comes off the ground and before your shoulders come, then that means that your hips are too low in this setup. So what you want to do is, the easy fix is just put your hips right where they want to rise to when that bar breaks the floor, because that's your tension, that's your power position, that your body naturally wants to be in. Our body's very smart. It's going to put us in the best positions to move. And if your hips rise, put your hips in that place during your start and your setup. So let's look at it in the trap bar. Let's look at it in the straight bar and see the difference between the two. What you'll notice is that there's really no difference. It's the same setup. The only difference is where your hand placement is going to be. So that's that on the deadlift tutorial, breaking down the technique. In the next video, we're going to talk about our drills to help you out in that setup. So when we're talking about breathing and bracing, hinging pattern, getting you real comfortable with that and creating tension throughout your back and the bar, we'll put that together in part 2 of this deadlift breakdown series. So as always, outwork the you from yesterday and put pressure on the you from tomorrow so you can look back and see how far you come. Get better one day, one rep at a time.